especially cut off across, stranded in the desert somewhere along the broken highway. As you're thrust upon the exiled lands, you might be wondering where you might sleep tonight and where your next meal is coming from. How to survive this godforsaken game? Well, hey, I'm Illybat and I play a lot of survival games, Conan Exiles being one of my favorite. I'm here today to bring you my top survival tips. And starting off, in no particular order, but kind of a little bit, we have bedrolls. You want to craft bedrolls as much as possible, place them everywhere, because that's where you're going to respawn. If you happen to be playing on official or no keep on death, you're going to have a big run to your stuff. There's some other stuff we'll get into later that can help prevent that, but for now, make a lot of bedrolls. That brings me to the second tip. We don't even have to go anywhere for these first few tips. It's crazy. You want to level up as soon as possible. By achieving journey steps along the way, they give a lot of XP. I've recently just done a how to get to level 60 super quickly guide as well. If you haven't checked that out, probably do. There'll be a link somewhere in the description or the comment or somewhere. But in short, you want to harvest a bunch of different stuff, lotuses, go to the jungle probably at this point. Essentially, my next tip is head to the jungle really and level up. On your journey to the jungle, if you don't know, you got to head towards the east this way. We've started off over here on the broken highway. Yeah, just in case you're new, because I'm assuming you are. This is a beginner's guide. I've got to assume people don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I am so sorry. I played this game so much. I just assume people know what's happening. That's why I'm making this guide for people who don't know what's happening. But to get around a lot quicker rather than swimming or running and getting attacked by shalebacks, excuse you, sirs, I'm in God mode. So drinking and eating regularly, obviously going to help your life in a survival game. That's just a tip for free. But you're going to want to come here and find yourself one of these fellas. They're a foal and they will turn into a horse, providing that you make a horse pen. Now you only need to be level 15 and you can craft it with a construction hammer. I don't remember it being wildly expensive, but you will probably need to make some other benches. Build a nice little shack somewhere out of the way, especially if you're on PvP. Stay hidden, stay safe. Don't build bigger than you need to. That is going to lead us into our next tip. But for now, I'll quickly finish showing you how to get a horse. Here's my stable I prepared earlier. Some sort of storm's happening. You pop him in there. This is my horse I already got. And you need some type of grass or bark or something. I don't think mushrooms work. Nope. Pick a grass quickly. You only need one. Any rest will turn into compost, which you can use to grow flowers or whatever in the future. It'll take some time, especially on official standards. Yeah. But once you got your tamed horse, you can place him. But be noted, if you do want to turn him into one of the battle pass horses or a black or white horse rather, you need to make the fodder first. You make that in an alchemist bench. It's like a gruel and a yellow lotus, I think, something like that. It's pretty cheap, maybe like an aloe. Check it out. And then you get that and you handcraft it in your inventory before placing the horse. So do not place the horse if you want it to be a fancy color or fancy skinned one. This is a slightly different fodder, but still pretty similar. And the same goes with any of these pets. Don't place them first, but you probably won't have any of those yet because I'm assuming you are just starting. Place your horse down and then you're going to need a saddler's bench as well to make the armor, saddle armor for him. There's a few different ones. I like to go with scout ones usually because they're nice and lightweight, but warhorse ones or whatever. There's different ones. Experiment with them for what you like, and you can probably thermagurgy them as well, which is another tip. We'll get to that. Place them around, then you'll be able to get around a lot quicker. They will follow you when you climb pretty well, and you can also have a regular thrall follow you as well as a horse, which is pretty cool. Especially early game, it's going to open up a lot of inventory slots. They have a lot more than what you have and they don't have a carry capacity. You can't ride them if you are encumbered though, so you want to try and space that so they carry your heaviest things. They have a decent amount of slots though. Hold your interact button on them to access their inventory, and as you can see, I put bark on them because that gives them extra armor, but you can give them vines for vitality. Seeds also I think do strength, and berries are like agility and stuff, and this stuff just heals them even better, which is also kind of cool. Now obviously you're not going to have anything as fancy as this armor yet, but you want to try and get as quick equip as soon as possible with some decent stuff. And that's going to lead us over to the pagoda of boundless lust while we're in the jungle. Killing the guys around here will have a chance to drop some Lemurian armor. That guy didn't drop any, of course he didn't. And there's also a lot of sorcerers at the moment. You can kill them and trade them into the Catan caravans. Who knows if that's still a thing by the time you watch this video. Hopefully they keep some form of that event in because it's kind of cool. It's a little OP, but We'll keep killing them. They're pretty easy to kill even if you're not just like insta-murdering them. There we go. And you get the Lemurian armor, which is very nice medium armor. It's possibly the best. You learn it from the Witch Queen dungeon just here, which is pretty easy to do. If you've been harvesting lotuses for levels, you can go in there and do that in between while you're waiting for them to respawn. Learn the armor, and it's like 6 leather to repair or something nonsense, and kill like 1 dragon and get all of the leather for that. So yeah, kill a bunch of them, and it's also a really good place to come and get thralls in general, especially crafting thralls if you're not buying them for the ancient obelisks. That's not still a thing. And these campfires over here have a chance to drop cool thralls, spawn cool thralls. They can be like anything. And this one over here, it's definitely worthy coming over here to kill a bunch of stuff, get equipped, get some thralls. If you're on a single player server, try not to like block your own spawns by building something too close. There's a fairly decent temple you can run up here. And put a Wheel of Pain or something in here, even on PvP. It's not a bad little starty spot. But remember, stay hidden, stay safe, have multiple outposts. Which brings me to also my next tip of just don't build a giant sandstone box. It's not worth it either time-wise, mats-wise, aesthetically wise. It's if you're on PvP, you're gonna get raided really easily. It's just not worth it. Don't build windows ever on PvP also, unless they're interior and you're using them to like cover stuff that is in a different video. But yeah, this isn't anything special. Like, I am no master builder by any means. I will be doing some cool buildy videos at some point as well, but that's beside the point. Build something interesting. If you're on PvE especially, this applies to you. I go to far too many PvE servers and mod ones as well that have like really cool texture packs and like building material things, and there will still just be giant sandstone boxes everywhere. Like, I'm not even opposed to you building a cool sandstone thing just for an outline and then replacing it later, because at least you get the mats back now. You can just boil them down to get the tier 3 stuff to like upgrade your stuff. But like, yeah, just put some effort in, folks, and it's better for PvP. But for PvP, you want to probably be building something like this, or a ceiling base, something with a god bubble. If you don't know what a god bubble is, it's not for you yet. If you do, this is helpful information. If you don't, I'll get to that in a later date information video. It's not a beginner's tip by any means, but I'll show you all this nonetheless, because this is kind of like goals. Something like this is going to be pretty hard, not impossible to raid, especially this location. I haven't finished building it. You can still build a few trebuchets. Trebuchets go through god bubbles, but this will block gods and arrows and orbs. And as there's nowhere to really reach with arrows for like a really long distance of this, yeah. And this is the outer bubble, which is going to stop also gods as well. I could potentially have another ring here and it still wouldn't be affected by stuff, but then yeah, if my bubble ever runs out, then that kind of makes it slightly easier to raid. And a quick tip, always build elevator traps. So you're gonna get trapped inside there. This is kind of a rough thing. You'd want a slopey ceiling. Layers save lives. This is actually an absolute nonsense base. I'll quickly show you all the inside. You can't even climb up here. You have to use a construction hammer to destroy it and rebuild. I haven't put doors yet. You come through here. All of this is just not even base. Now, mind you, this isn't perfect, and it could definitely be raided very easily if I was offline. Less easier than a bunch of stuff, but it can fit most of the benches in here. Ones it can't fit, you can destroy the ones that it does fit and place the ones there. There's the god altar, all of this stuff. Oh, and also another quick PvP tip. You can get these from named set priests or name whoever priest. They give various different other stuff, and they're going to sacrifice for 20 zeal, all these different one. Any name priest is going to drop their religious thing. You can also eat it to learn the religion, but if you're after trying to make god bubbles and stuff, you want to use this. If you make an actual god, it's going to consume all of the zeal, your altar, and the archpriest. So probably don't do that if you're trying to have protection bubble. Lasts like 48 hours or something like that, maybe a little under 38 hours, something like that. So yeah, if you're on Scepter, you can get a gremlin sigil, and it's super easy to harvest zeal by doing shitty searches. But I'm kind of digressing. My main point is try to build something good to the best of your ability. If you are wondering why there are palisades on my roof, there is a thing in sorcery, which is one of our next tips, that allows you to summon a thing called the Bat of Nurgle, and you can now fly around and land on people's bases. Archers are going to help shoot them down. I destroyed that for easy access to my base. That wouldn't be like that, obviously. But yeah, they're not going to be able to land here because you got to have like half corruption to even summon him, so not good times. And having its like UFO shape, it's just going to be super hard to do any damage, and especially with trebuchets, it's harder to aim at stuff. This is all lined with fence foundations and spikies and things, so yeah, do with that knowledge what you will. Let's move on to the next tip. If you didn't know by now, you can be a lizard, Gary, and come here to the Sorcerer's Cave and learn sorcery, which is how you fly and do other cool stuff like summon your body when you die at a summoning circle, get a bunch of cool abyssal armor and weapons, and summon other cool things like zombies, and you learn a bunch of cool stuff. It's highly worth doing ASAP because then along your journeys you'll then be able to level it up by getting sorcerers pages, killing named sorcerers, any sorcerer I think, and they drop in various different places around, but that's not part of this particular video. The location is Trailback. Hello. It's got a bunch of demon turtles in there which you can get for demon blood as well, or you can just run past them. It is a corrupty cave, so be quick about it. You're gonna get a book which you need for leveling the sorcery in your Thermagogy bench, and a wand which you can summon cool stuff. I'll be making a more in-depth guide about all the different cool sorcery things, but quickly I'm gonna show y'all a thing called a summoning circle. So you can summon all these cool things. They are basically free, but if you're not killing stuff, they'll eventually go insane and kill you. You've got to be killing stuff. Same with this stuff. If you're not killing stuff, it'll despawn. There are ways to be able to dupe things for free, but that's not part of this video. I don't particularly want to share that. If you know, you know. Then you can summon your corpse. So say you die somewhere super stupid. Don't worry about it. You can call forth your stuff from wherever. You die PvP, you raiding someone's base, you're too heavy. Don't worry about it. Just summon your stuff back. Like, there you go. You don't even have to live at your base because you can build a shitty little hut somewhere and have one of these guys in it. Activate it and have one at your actual house, say like in that tower we were just looking at, and then you'll be able to teleport between, which is pretty cool. You want to try and like not leave it active during raid times and stuff so you don't have like a direct route into your house, because yeah, done that to someone else. That was a bit silly of them. Now you can extinguish it and whatever. And if you have two ignited, you'll be able to travel between them, which is cool. Yeah, definitely learn sorcery and level it up as soon as possible. There's one more pretty awesome thing which you can do. You might be able to tell by my armor already. There's a thing called a Thermagogy bench, which is how you level up the armor. Because I'm in creative mode, it's got all of the recipes and what you need to level it up, which is cool. If you lose your book, you can just go back to the cave and get another one. You'll need this type of stuff if you've got a named sorcerer or whoever in there. It just makes it quicker, doesn't make it cheaper. But you can get whatever armor you want. Say you've got a Yog's Touch and an axe. You can combine them and it will look like that but have the stats of that. That comes in particularly handy if you say are on PvP and you want to look like a hobo. Let me get something quickly. You combine them, put that guy on, and then no one knows what you're wearing. And you can do the same thing with like the Yog's Touch. You can just put a stone blade on it. So we want to make our Yog's Touch look like a Tefari axe. Now no one knows that you're packing. Kind of handy. You're not as likely to get targeted, although some people have just like hard-ons for the naked person as well. Probably it's going to get even worse because of this nonsense, but if you didn't know, now you know. That brings us to our next tip. Don't smelt steel. Don't craft steel fire and then put it in your smelter with some iron. Even if you don't have a blacksmith yet, start the preparation of crafting iron reinforcements. As soon as you get a tier 3, you can start doing this. It's so much cheaper, especially if you make your steel reinforcements in at least an improved bench. It's going to be 1 for 1 for, iron reinforcements, 1 for 1 rather than 2 for 1, and then that and that, rather than like 10 iron to make 1 steel bar. And then you can just convert it back into steel this way. Much better economically. Alternatively, you can also farm steel in places like Umaru. There's a lot of silver and gold boxes there as well, so you can get a little bit of coinage up to buy some other thralls and whatever. It's a later tip. But the steel boxes there are a really nice little handy boost in your game. You get a lot of thick leather Nether as well. There's some other places to get them like New Asgard and Mounds of the Dead and the Volcano, but those places are a lot harder. This place, the thralls don't attack you and there's like quazillion boxes. I can do a guide on the boxes around there if you'll want. Let me know in the comments. But as of recording this video in chapter 2, you can go visit Conan Caravans. Kill sorcerers. Any old sorcerer will do. Doesn't have to matter, whatever. Hand in the skulls. I did some events, so they gave us some cool fancy things. Then you want to try and find the guy. You can get some cool armor as well from this stuff. The supply materials currently is what I'm after. Buy them. I'll show you quickly what else these guys drop. You can buy some cool thralls from this guy, some worker thralls, which is a decent way to get some crafting thralls straight away, and a combatant thrall. You can buy this thrall as well and then put them straight into a zombie tomb and make yourself a zombie. Although it is, I think, better to freshly tame one and put it in there. This is easier, possibly, if you're low level. You just have to kill shitty Tefari sorcerers to get it up, and it's so easy. But this event may not stay forever, as it is an event or an encounter. It implies that next season it will be different stuff. Who knows, maybe the caravans will stay and change places and something similar. But for now, we open them up. We're going to get iron and tar, and we already get steel fire and some alchemy base for handing in the skulls. You get some seeds which you can put in your fluid press if you're high enough level yet to get a little bit of oil. If you don't have an alchemist, ichor and bark to make that. 500 steel bars and some more iron bars, which you can turn all of that into iron reinforcements, etc. But usually you get a butt ton of steel as well. Some tar, which you can be using to make some steel fire. Well, on the subject of buying thralls, you can come over here to the jungle in Flotsam. There's a couple of merchants who sell some cool things. Up on another balcony, someone sells dancers and archers. These guys also sell like some spiders and some shoe bills. Apparently these guys aren't friends. He's not even aggressive, man. He's not even trying to fight back. Crazy. But yeah, you can come here and talk to some, not him. These guys buy like shoe bill eggs to hatch in a very similar thing to the horses. Animal tamey pen. Spider egg sacs. Sometimes the spiders and shoe bills are loose as well. And there's also a table that like loses texture. But I digress. The main purpose of coming here is trying to get an early game alchemist so you can make some leather to get geared good if you haven't been killing Lemurians, or you just want to get something a little bit better, or make your own Lemurian armor and or whatever armor you've now learnt from seeing my where all the recipes are guide. You need a bunch of oil. Get an alchemist, at least tier 3, pop them into an alchemist bench, doesn't matter the level, and get ichor and bark and make all of the oil you desire. Come here and buy a bunch for gold and silver. If you go to the volcano, easy place, gold and silver, just gold. Easy place to get gold is through obsidian in the volcano. If you're not high enough level yet, take a look at that. There's a bunch of the boxes that are around the place. I can do a guide on all of them if you want. There are more like down here as well. That's not even all of them. There are a lot more. There are other places where you can find it around the map. But if you're struggling, let me know. I'll sort you out. But you can also buy mercenary fighters. They're not going to be as good as the Conan Caravan ones, but they're always going to be a Shemite from the relic hunter place known as Umaru or Set City, because there's a lot of Set people there and they worship Set. So it's going to be pretty decent level, dude. They're not the best, but for base defense or purge defense, they're excellent. You just get a bunch, and they can be a name dude as well. You can either then put them in to your shallow grave from leveling up sorcery, which is going to give you an already leveled guy. If you don't like their stats, you can use the potions of rebirth that you can make as well from leveling up sorcery and re-roll their stats to try and get something a little bit better. I did it a few times. This is like one of the best ones I got from that. But yeah, fresh thralls, like I'm pretty sure do better. And if you want to corrupt your perk points, you're gonna need this. But that's definitely in a later in-depth sorcery video, because you probably don't even know what I'm talking about with corrupting perk points. But if a purge attacks and you're built somewhere where people purges attack, which I advise because you can get some cool stuff that way, you want to try and get a lot of truncheons or something on all of your protection thralls that you've just bought. When the purge hits, you can quickly put them on if it's a people purge. Keep weapons on them if it's an animal purge. But you want to get them so they can knock all the thralls out. It will act the same as if you're killing them, and the next tier of the purge will happen like they've all been killed. So then you can take your time to put them all in your Wheel of Pain that you've prepared earlier and get some more cool stuff that way. Used to be the only way that you could get a thrall that would make the steel reinforcements then in the blacksmith bench, but then they went and changed the game. So now it's easier for you all. But it's definitely a good reason to buy a bunch bunch of thralls for free. It's much quicker. They're instantly tamed. Take advantage of the thralls for the 50 ancient obelisks while it lasts, because you can get Delanisa snow hunters, etc. Don't get attached to your thralls. They will die, especially if you don't have an authority build at the moment. I'll do a separate builds video and some more detail, but just know that. But for base defense, have a bunch of archers and things around, and it's got, especially on PvP, it's going to give someone hell when they're raiding you. The more random thralls around, the better. And also have a shitty level thrall around. So if someone is scouting you during PvP time, that thrall's an aggressive, it'll attack them. That person will probably either kill it or get killed by it. And that's going to come up in your tribe log, which is a bonus tip for all my PvP players out there. If you're new to PvP, you want to constantly be checking your event log. You go to server, event log, then there's a bunch of different buttons that you can press that'll show you different things. And depending on your area, I usually have like unauthorized. I don't like not trust my friends, but if you've got dodgy people in your clan, you can see what they're doing, what and where. Unauthorized, religious, thrall, building, and player. But let's submit that, and then you can see like all my loot bags that I dropped and stuff. If you die, that's how you see what you lost. If someone summons a god, or you want to know where people live on PvP server, you can just go religious warfare. Gotta up the area, wasn't close enough, and you can see that Ilibet summoned a Yog's protection. So if I'm in the area, I'll go, oh well, there's a Yog's protection, that must be Ilibet's base. Super easy to find it. And if you happen to be near someone's base and it's up on a pillar and you can't see who it is, you just lower the distance, and that's how you can find it. That's a little bonus tip for you, not included in the actual thing. But if you've come this far, then you deserve it. And that brings us to, well, basically that's the end. And this is just basically some more bonus tips. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to explore. There's a lot of talk about like metas and meta spots and meta armors and all of that, but it's all subjective. It's all like what you find comfortable to use. If you're no good at using a spear, that's no meta. If you die all the time wearing light armor because you can't take one poke because you're not good at rolling, not very meta for you. People create new metas by experimenting and coming up with a way to combat the current meta. Don't get so focused if you're playing PvP on just fighting. You need to be able to live as well. And living often means building good, building well, don't being toxic, exploring new places to find to build that aren't the Keyhole or the Eastern Barracks or Deserter's Gutter or any of those places. There's a lot of places where you can build where you will survive. If you've seen my PvP recent playthrough, even though I had to end that abruptly because the server ended up resetting a lot sooner than I anticipated, and I didn't get a lot of chances to do raiding on there because it was raiding only on the weekend. Anyway, I digress. No one raided me. I was one of the only people who managed to not get raided at all in the slightest, kept all my stuff, was built in something like that. Only a lot more because PvP. So there's a lot to be said to don't pick fights unless you are ready to be fought. Stay as small as you can for as long as you can for more chances of surviving. Yeah, you can go out and fight people for no fucking reason, but it ends up not being that fun after a while, and you get salty when you die and lose kids and whatever. It is fun to do occasionally for sure, but you find when you're in a decent war, you get enough of that stuff without having to camp obelisks and pick fights with people who didn't pick fights with you. Most of the time, someone that I'm trying to advise you to not be will end up killing you stupidly or raiding your stuff, and there's your enemy, there's your target. You don't even need randomly attack people. Someone will always make themselves your enemy, and there's usually a toxic alpha or a hacker or something like that as well that's a barely decent enemy to focus on. Try not to join mega alliances, they always tend to be gross and toxic. Just an FYI, another little bonus tip. But yeah, experiment with different places to build and different armor and weapon combinations that you find comfortable. Just saying. Maybe you'll be the next creator of the new meta because you experimented with new stuff. And if you found this information informative, as always, do smash that like and subscribe button. It means a bunch to me. And until next time, I hope you have an excellent day, evening, night, morning, or whatever it may be, wherever you may be. Have a good one.